Have you guys seen The Last of Us episode 1 on HBO Max? I just checked it out right now, and so far, I am very impressed with what I see. Hey, what's up, gamers? This is GizMoGotYa. Welcome to the Garmin Gamers channel. If you haven't done so, go ahead and comment, like, and subscribe. I'm just going to go ahead and talk about the actual movie, The Last of Us movie, episode 1, that was featured on HBO Max. And I just wanted to go ahead and talk about it real quick because I know there's a lot of hype around this movie right now because of the game, of course, The Last of Us. Yeah, so let's talk about the history of the game. So first, this game, right, The Last of Us game, came out in 2013 on the PS3 and won a lot of awards like Game of the Year, a lot of accolades back, in that year. And then afterwards, and it was remastered in 2014 for the PS4. I picked it up again because just wanted to see the differences between the PS3 and the PS4 graphics. And then just recently, the game was so good, I guess the company decided that they wanted to remake this game completely. But as far as the game itself is a classic, man. If you guys don't have this game in your collection, I recommend getting that PS5 version for sure. So let's talk about the movie, right? So when I first heard an announcement back in 2020 that this movie was going to be created, it was in talks and it was going to be filmed, I was just like, oh man, I already love the game so much that that experience for me playing the game was like my movie. Like that was like my version of a movie already created as a video game. With that said, this movie had to be special, right? I mean, the fact that the foundation of the story is there. You just had to have the right cast, the right look of the movie, and boom, you got it, right? The video game movie scene hasn't always been good, right? But we're banking on this series for the director, the producer to make a good movie because there's a lot going behind it, right? The game is already good. Like, we don't want people to mess it up, right? When the trailers dropped for this movie, there was a good response to the trailers. I'm sure fans of the game series, looked at the trailers pretty harshly too, and say, okay. So yeah, so when I saw the trailer, man, it got me hooked. Having said that, and actually watching the movie today, I could just say right now, in short, the movie is incredible so far. The series, episode 1. I won't go in details with the episode because, it's like the video game, right? Like, you gotta experience the game from the beginning, and the intro sequence for the game is important. Like, you gotta watch that intro sequence from the game and for this episode to kind of understand the context of where the two kind of apples to apples contextually how they match up, right? So the story, let's just talk about the story first. The story stayed true to the content of the original game. Like, when you first kind of see how this story plays out, there's some exposition involved that kind of brings the character's life, right, even more, because you see extra exposition and content that you haven't seen in the game. That kind of made me think, like, wow, like, oh, okay, so this is what happened in between this sequence in the game that you don't really see. And believe it or not, man, like this episode highlighted a lot of the game sequences where you would expect it to happen. So if you played the game, and I hope whoever's watching this played the game, right? So you kind of know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, play the game. Go ahead and play the intro sequence. Check it out. I'm telling you, that intro sequence it pretty much gave me goosebumps because I was like, wow, that actually happened in the game. That actually happened in the game. There was and I won't go into spoilers, okay? So there's there's this scene in the movie where and you'll see it in the game where you're in the car and you see a lot of things going on, and whoever is watching this knows what I'm talking about. You'll be like, oh yeah, that actually happened in the game too, you know? So the little subtle details that know the game, that know the story, is gonna catch that. So I hope you do catch that as well. The story also has those emotional motifs that really pulls you in to the story even more. And let's talk about the intro sequence for a little bit, because I did mention that earlier. If you haven't played the game, again, you know, play that game, and that first 30 minutes of the game is gonna definitely draw you in because of that sequence that happens to the characters. That emotional part, that little component is in there. It's in the movie. It's just exactly like the game. And I was pulled in right away when I was like, wow. So let's talk about the cast, right? So, of course, you have the cast is there, right? From the cast, it's a strong cast for sure. Some actors and actresses I don't know, but of course, you got one of the main characters, right? Pedro Pascal, who played the Mandalorian, right? That's Joel. He plays Joel as the father for Sarah. You have Bella Ramsey, who's Ellie, which is the other important character. As far as the cast is concerned, I do see that these actors and actresses are playing the roles pretty well so far, you know, in this episode. But yeah, the cast is good. I'm happy with what I see so far. Now let's talk about the aesthetic and look of the movie. So all I gotta say right there, the aesthetics and the look of the movie is the same as the game. So far, you'll see a lot of camera shaking, right? But it's to help you immerse you in the actual scene. I forgot to mention that the music is actually the original theme from the game, so that was a plus. That was a nice touch to add to the actual the episodic movie there. The feeling you get when you're watching the movie too, especially in this episode and the first part, intense, right? You get that intense feeling, that dark, that eerie feeling when you're watching some of these scenes, right? And I'm sure in the rest of the episodes to come, we'll find out that there's more jump scares and stuff like that, you know? And it's the same as the game, man. Like it really pulls you in when you first see the alleyways, the buildings that you surround yourself in, right? Like where the characters are surrounding themselves in. You'll see the actual infected people. Keep in mind, the infected people, they're not zombies. So people are infected by this mutating like virus, and it transforms those people's bodies into like aggressive creatures, I guess, and they're infected, and so this virus is spreading, right? So, but you could see the spores, like you'll see like in the air, you'll see like these like little spore looking like particles, right, in the air. That's there. I mean, you know, they have to kind of put that out there because I'm sure, you know, by watching the intro sequence of the movie, that gives you the exposition you need to know about what this movie was really going to be about, right? So the look of the movie is right on point. The scenes are hectic, as pretty much what you would expect, because the game has that kind of energy and that stress type, you know, that pressure involved. Like you need to get out of that area. You need to, you know, that kind of feeling like you need to get out of that scene. It really pulls you in, right, in the experience. So let's go over my overall thoughts here, right? I think for episode 1, I like what I see so far. The story is on point. The look, the cast, you know, with the exception that, you know, there was some things that I was like, oh, okay. The ones that wrote the script kind of changed some parts, you know, little details, right? But it didn't hurt the story though. It didn't hurt anything. It just kind of kind of gave it a little different vibe to what I was looking at. So far, I like what I see. I can't wait for the next episode. That's for sure. That's coming out January 22nd. With that said, I want to know what you guys think. Did you like the movie? Did you like what you see on episode 1? What do you guys think? I'll see you guys on the next one. All right. Peace.